Look at that beast, huh? All right. Must have been when I was off-roading. On a KLR, these things are so well engineered that when the suspension bottoms, this piece goes into the tire. I know, right? Who would think? And a lot of guys put them up here, which I will be one of them. So,
Hey guys, you got the verbal widget with you. I'm doing my first voiceover. Let's give it a whirl, huh? All right. So, you saw the video where I had bottomed the suspension. The Dunlap 606 sucked the rear license plate, started nibbling on it right into the rear tire. The first picture here, and I'm just going to go first picture. I've never done this before. So, what you're looking at now is the finished product, and that's how it looks. If you notice, the license plate doesn't hang down below the rear fender. It looks clean. It looks factory. It's using all the factory parts. It costs nothing. So the next picture you're looking at is to your left, you'll see what I'm going to refer to as the taillight box, because this is all you're using. This is what boxes in the lens assembly to the outer rear fender. The red thing is your lens assembly with the taillight wires coming out. The thing that's hanging to the right, throw it in the garbage, but first pull the license plate bracket off, which normally sits in those two holes under the reflector at the very base, because we're going to reuse that. So other than that, whatever you want to do with it, go for it, man. So next picture, you're going to see the back of the unit. And in the upper left hand, you're going to see the back part of the taillight box. And if you look at the two top holes in it, those are bolts that run through the luggage rack. They have an 8mm head on them. And I'm just going to go by head. I'm not going to say 8mm head with a 6mm bolt. But anyway, they have an 8mm head. They're on the luggage rack. They pass right, they pass right through the taillight box assembly. The two silver pop riveted assemblies you see, one at the top, one at the very bottom, those have 6mm nuts on it, or 10mm nuts on it. And those are what actually hold the taillight box to the outer rear fender. The red piece is the taillight housing with the wires. The one to your right is garbage. Just take the license plate bracket off before you discard it. The next picture you see is how it's going to look with everything removed. You can look straight through it, see the rear tire, see the muffler. If you want, squirt some chain lube on it right now, but that's what it's going to look like. At the top of this picture, you're going to see two 10mm bolts that hang down. That's the way it's going to be. In order to get those bolts out, you would need to remove the rear luggage rack, and you don't need to do that. So all you got to do is turn it until they're free of the taillight box assembly, and out they come. Also, you're going to have to remove the taillight housing, the red lens piece. That's got two 10mm bolts on the back side of the fender to uncover the two lower 10mm bolts that are inside of the kind of rear fender taillight box assembly. And then everything will drop out. But don't forget to undo those two luggage rack bolts that pass through the taillight box assembly. They don't hold anything, they just pass through it. Next, I'm holding everything you're going to need in the whole wide world to do this. And this is the piece I'm calling the taillight box. You see the two holes with the grommets and the little silver eyes. That's where the taillight housing is going to go through, the red piece. The center holes where the taillight housing wires pass through. You have, you can see the pop rivets there, and that's where the nut plates are held on the top and the bottom. And then right here, I have it started, And I just have it started with the 2 top bolts because you see there's the 2 lower bolts where it's just the holes. And so I got it sitting there with just the 2 top bolts in. And I just used the long 10 millimeter. You know, it's a doable thing. You just kind of get it going with your fingertips, squeeze it in there, then you can just 10 millimeter it down. I didn't use Loctite on any of the taillight box bolts. The next picture is from underneath. And as you can see, I have the bolts in those nut plate assemblies that are pop riveted to the taillight box. And so I have all the 10 millimeter bolts on that. There's only 4 that hold it on. And I'm just reusing the original Kawasaki bolts. I didn't buy anything to do this thing, so other than the zip ties to hold the wire. And I only use like 2 of those. So here's another picture of it from a different angle. And you can see the wires dangling. The wires dangling to the far right are from the old or original license plate white light. The other wires that are dangling with the 3 connectors, we're going to reuse those once we put the taillight assembly back in. And there's a couple shots there for you. The next picture is I have the 2 10 millimeter bolts started at the very lower because the upper ones are in. And I'm getting ready to tighten those things up, and then let's just call them tight. And then we pulled off the original license plate bracket from the lower secondary rear fender. And I just eyeballed it. I put the lens back in, or the lens assembly back in, just so I could see how it would look and everything. And so I just eyeballed it, and what you're looking at here are 2 little pilot holes. And all I did was I held it up to where everything looked level. And you can measure it out or whatever, but I got it really accurate with just eyeballing. I put 2 dots in from a Sharpie marker, and then I just used one of those center punches, the spring-loaded kind, just where it goes pow, pow, and I put 2 little holes in. I think I put like 2 1/8-inch holes, or 2, it doesn't matter. You know, I just put 2 little holes in for pilot holes. And then next I broke out the big gun and put in the 6 millimeter holes, which you now see in the other picture. And you can see the holes are bigger, and then there's another hole, or another picture where it shows the holes even better. And basically, we're almost done because we have the taillight box in. It's mounted, it's tighted. We got the luggage. Don't forget to put those 2 8 millimeter luggage rack bolts back in and tighten those up. And so everything's kind of tightened up in the box assembly at this point and on the luggage rack. And then the next picture shows the original license plate mounting bracket that used to hang way down below the fender. I hope yours isn't all damaged up. If it is, just shag another one off eBay or something. But anyway, I just stuck the 10 millimeter bolts through there. And just to get a picture for you guys, see how it looks. Everything looks good to me. And I shot a picture on the back side. And so the nut plate that you're looking at with the 10 millimeter nuts tacked in there, that's the bottom part of the taillight box unit. And then you can see the bolt sticking through there. And it actually came out fairly good. And so now we're just ready to tighten it up. And when you're doing this, make sure and use the big washers, the big fender washers that Kawasaki used. And these pictures here, you're showing that, or I'm showing you that I used the big washers. I used some blue Loctite on the original nuts. And so now the license plate bracket assembly is all mounted. We got the license, or the taillight box assembly in there. It looks, it's factory. It really is. So it's just a nice little change. Next picture here, we show the license plate on, and you know, it doesn't hang down below the rear fender anymore, and everything's bolted in. We're all good to go. We're just hanging the taillight assembly, and to get the wires through the grommet, you can push them through or whatever. I found it easier just to twist them, and then they just went right through there. And then the next couple pictures are showing you that I'm just kind of pushing it in. And so, yeah, that's all there is to it. On the back side, we have everything tightened up. I have the Taillight Housing, the big fat washers and the bolts, or I'm sorry, and the nuts all on, tightened down. All we got to do is connect up these 3 wires that are coming out of the taillight housing. And the next picture here, it shows the 3 wires. They're all reconnected. They're color coded. Just match up the wires to each other and snap them together. And then I just have 2 plastic ties, or a couple plastic ties, holding the wires from drooping down. I don't have them cinched. I'm not crushing or putting any kind of strain on the wires. I just have them loosely attached. The only purpose I'm doing is keeping the wires from drooping. So I guess that's about it. The next couple pictures, they're just showing different angles or different pictures in case you need them. If you want to look on the right side of the pictures, you're going to notice I used the original wire loop for that Kawasaki inserted in there, and I just have the original license plate white taillight wiring. That's so hard to say for me. I just have it in there dangling. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. If it does, I'll do something else. But I've ridden it. I did this mod about a week ago or so, and it hasn't gone anywhere. But those wires off to the right, that's what they're for. Those are the ones that used to go to the license plate light when it was on the rear fender that extended below the real rear fender. Yeah, and you see everything's bolted up tight and everything looks good. The only thing I would recommend at this point is where the wires go into the taillight box for the taillight housing. I haven't done it yet, but I need to, and I would recommend, put silicone around that hole just to keep water out, because the rear tire, we don't get a lot of rain here, although it's raining right now, but that'll keep things dry inside the taillight housing. That's about the only thing I'd really recommend. Just fill that hole, because the grommet doesn't really fit it tightly or anything. So, but pack it full of silicone and let it dry 12 hours, something like that. And then I just had some yellow fingernail polish that I get at the dollar store. I have a couple different shades. Yeah, you know, this is my springtime edition. And you can see I just have yellow painted on there. And that way, if I'm adjusting the chain or something, I can look up, notice nothing's moved. Next picture here is just something I was playing with. I had a piece of this silver 3M tape. And if you notice the inside of this taillight assembly, it's just kind of like it's not even shiny. It's just kind of like a flat silver paint. Well, I had this strip in my tool cart, and so I put it up there, and I just kind of placed the lens over it, and it was noticeably brighter. So when I put the LED bulb, I got to go get an LED bulb for the rear taillight. This is just the stock one. But when I put the LED bulb in, I'm actually going to line that with some more of this foil tape, because it really did help the illumination. In fact, I left that piece in there just as you see it. And a little tip I'll give you is just, I have a roll of this stuff, but I just take some carburetor cleaner on the rag or brake parts cleaner on the rag, and you can wipe off all that red 3M crap, and that leaves you nothing but a shiny film or a shiny tape. So anyway, and then the next picture, we are done. You know, I'd say maybe 2 hours, just because you got to cut stuff. But yeah, we're using all the same connectors, all the same pieces, all the same nuts and bolts. We're just getting rid of a big piece that hung down. So as you can see in the picture, everything looks great. You know, the license plate doesn't hang down below. And then these other pictures here are the piece that we cut off in the original license plate white light. I'm getting better at that. That was removed. And as you can see, that license plate white light and the bracket look mysteriously like they should be on the back of a 52 Edsel. or maybe a 61 Apache Chevy pickup truck, or maybe Grandpa's boat trailer. But the thing is huge. For a white light, everything on the KLR is huge. So anyway, but these photos here are the rear section and the license plate white light that we cut off of this thing. And the last picture is just how clean it is on the back. It looks factory. It looks like it should be. And there must be some kind of government requirement to have these rear fenders that hang down with this massive thing, because the XR, DR, and KLR are all the same. You know, in fact, all the bikes are. So this is some government reg thing. I really can't poo-poo on Kawasaki for it. But this is how you can fix it. And like I said, I don't have a white light on the back. I wonder if that thunder just came through. And what I was thinking of doing is I do have another lens, and I'm going to try cutting a notch out of the very lower section of it and see if that illuminates the license plate enough to where I don't have to do any other kind of lighting. So anyway, hope this helps you guys. I think it's a cool thing to do. I would do it on any KLR I purchase in the future, although I don't think I ever will. But I think this is a cool thing to do. It just takes a couple hours out of your day, and I think the rewards are fantastic. And it costs absolutely nothing as long as you already have like a hacksaw or a Dremel or a probably a set of tin snips would work too. That's all I got for you guys. And make your own adventures and do your own mods. Verbal Widget Guy, over and out. Bye-bye.
Despite Kawasaki's engineering, they still have a good bike. So, not the best, it's just good.